When I think about Helldivers 2, there's one phrase that really defines it for me, and that's pure fun. And I don't say that lightly. I never played the first game, so I don't got no nostalgia for it or expectations, but the moment I dropped into my very first mission, back when the game launched, it transported me back to being a kid again. Like, just the game as a whole just reminded me of the times I'd come back home from school, I'd turn on Halo with my friends, and lose entire evenings to chaotic laughter and fun. And those moments stuck with me. That same vibe and feeling lives on here in Helldivers 2. It's raw, it's messy, it's joyful, in a modern way that games really are nowadays. Are there flaws? Yeah, there are flaws. There's bugs, balance issues, and more commonly now, performance issues. Beneath all of that is a game that knows exactly what it wants to be, and a game that respects your time. In a world where so many games chase trends, battle passes, and predatory monetization, Helldivers 2 feels genuine, and that's what makes it special in my eyes. And that being said, please like and or subscribe. It means the world to me. Hope you enjoy my thoughts on and review for Helldivers 2 in 2025. Looking back at the game's launch, it was rough. Servers collapsed, matchmaking was a nightmare. While I don't think it was Arrowhead's fault, they just didn't expect the game to blow up as much as it did. And they fixed those servers, honestly, really fast. It was a few days, but honestly, impressive. Be able to fit, like, what was it, 800,000 people at a time? And half the time I felt like I was battling error codes instead of aliens. But there's one thing. Even when it was broken, even now, it's still fun. My first time my squad dropped into a bug-infested planet, we panicked, spammed orbital strikes, and accidentally wiped ourselves out before enemies could even touch us, right? And instead of being frustrated, I was laughing so hard I couldn't even breathe. That moment told me everything about this game I needed to know. That I didn't need to be perfect to enjoy the game. Its core loop was just so much fun, and it just felt so magical. But I digress. What I think Helldivers 2 nails better than most co-op shooters is its unpredictability. Sure, the missions tell you to defend a base, destroy a nest, etc. But the real fun comes from the chaos in between, in my opinion. Friendly fire is always on, which means every grenade, every misaimed shot, every misaimed stratagem could backfire spectacularly on your teammates or even yourself. And stratagems, the lifeblood of the game, can feel like a salvation or pure disaster depending on how you use them. And the extractions, oh boy, they are the best part. Every single one feels like a finale to a movie scene. Aliens swarming, ammo's running out, turrets accidentally gunning down your teammates, and so much more. It's never clean. That's what makes it so fun and perfect in my eyes. It's one of those rare games where failure is just as fun as success. You don't care if you lost the mission. You just want to queue up again and dive back into the madness. And I feel like one of the most underrated parts of Helldivers 2 is its progression. It doesn't try to reinvent the wheel with endless loops of grinding or overcomplicated systems. Instead, it strikes that sweet balance between steady unlocks and real player skill. Whether you're upgrading your ship, getting new stratagems, or even upgrading your weapon with new attachments, your gear matters, sure, but new weapons, armor, and stratagems open up more playstyles. But the real progression, I feel, comes from you. First time you drop in, you're clumsy, panicking, probably calling down supply pods, you don't know the stratagem inputs. But hours later, you start noticing the difference. You're calmer under pressure. Your squad is more coordinated. Those once chaotic battles turn into moments of controlled madness rather than uncontrolled madness. And as well as you memorize the stratagems, you can input them quicker. What I love is that the game doesn't hand you your power. You earn it it earns it with you, if that makes sense. Unlocking new stratagems feels exciting. Not because it's flashy, but because it changes how you approach missions. And when you combine that with community-wide progression of the Galactic War, every drop feels like it matters. You're not just leveling up, you're contributing to something bigger, to the grand Galactic War. And what builds upon this really, in my opinion, is Super Credits and Warbonds. Warbonds and Super Credits in most games, or at least some systems similar to it, would make my eyes roll. Because 9 times out of 10, they're mean, aggressive battle passes and cash shops, but Helldivers 2 handles it a bit differently. Warbonds are basically the game's version of progression passes, battle passes, or what have you. But the key here is that they're not time limited. Like, once you get it, you can take as long as you want to unlock it. Unlock them at your own pace, and the gear inside isn't just filler cosmetics, it's meaningful. While not all Warbonds are created equal, each one brings something unique and awesome to the table. A good example I can give is the most recent Warbond, the ODST one, which gives armor and weapons that encourage stealth gameplay, giving you armor that makes you quieter and harder to detect, as well as weapons that are silenced and suppressed. And my personal favorite Warbond that I think most new players should get first be Democratic Detonation. And the new stratagem or weapon can totally change how you approach a mission, which makes every unlock feel so satisfying and worthwhile. Super credits are the premium currency, and what makes them interesting is that you can actually earn them just by playing the game. They're scattered in missions, and if you just put in the time, you can eventually rack up enough points to unlock the next Warbond without spending a dime. And in most modern games, that type of progression or that player first monetization is incredibly rare. And that type of gameplay, like just player first mentality, is what's so awesome about this game. This game respects your time and how much time you put into it. If you put enough time into the game, it rewards you by letting you get a Warbond for free, essentially. Do I know if that monetization exists at all? Not really, but in this case, it feels fair. And it's optional, and it respects your time, like I said. It never gets in the way of the fun. In a landscape where most games shove microtransactions in your face, and Helldivers 2 takes a more player-first approach to this, and I respect Arrowhead immensely for it. They could have very easily just made you only be able to buy super credits, but no. Made them earnable in-game, and for that, they earn my respect. Third-person camera gives Helldivers 2 its grand cinematic feel. Explosions light up the horizon, hordes of enemies look overwhelming in every battle. Feels desperate, but I think what really sets it apart is its satire. Propaganda broadcasts, the over-the-top military language, it's cheesy, it's self-aware, and every mission turns into a parody of classic sci-fi war films. It reminds you a lot of Starship Troopers, that mix of comedy and carnage when you're laughing even when everything's falling apart. Who you're fighting also matters. The Terminids, they're the classic swarm enemy faction. At first, they feel like cannon fodder, but if you underestimate them, oh boy, you'll be buried under a tide of claws and acid in no time. Fighting them is like managing crowd control, watching your angles and never getting complacent. They're the faction that best captures that Starship Troopers vibe. Hilarious and terrifying all in one sweet package. Also the Automatons, where bugs overwhelm you with numbers, the Automatons bring raw firepower like turrets, walkers, and patrol squads that will actually flank you. They force you to play smarter. Fighting them always feels like a war of attrition, and when your squad finally clears out a fortified outpost, it feels like a well-earned victory. And lastly, and usually the wild card of all three, is the Illuminate. Laying more to energy weapons, teleportation, and psionics, they mess with your squad's rhythm, and almost feel like a combination of the two previous factions I mentioned. They'll swarm you with voteless, and they have the firepower of the Automatons, which make them pretty challenging to fight. They're not as refined as the other factions yet, but they bring variety, and make you rethink everything that you thought you mastered before. And by 2025, Helldivers 2 is a completely different beast than at launch. Arrowhead has put in the work and listened to the community. I remember when they were nerfing stuff into the ground and people were just complaining that they were taking the fun out of the game because weapons just didn't really hit as hard, you know what I mean? But unlike most games, Arrowhead actually listened to their community. They started buffing stuff again to how it was before. Well, not everything is back to where it was. Rest in peace, Railgun. Primaries weapons certainly feel a lot more fun to use as a result, and they seem to be a lot more careful when it comes to nerfing stuff that players enjoy using in the game. And when it comes to updates to the game, they never lose sight of what makes this game great. Each edition gives you more and more and more ways to create those only in Helldivers stories. The ones you can't script, the ones you can't, the ones you'll be telling your friends about days later. Like I said before, it reminds me of those times where like, you'd play Halo back in the day, and like, I'd get a sick clip. Of course, I couldn't clip stuff back then, but then you'd go to school and you'd tell your friends about this awesome moment you had in Halo, or in any game you played. This game thrives on community energy, whether it's watching clips from players pulling up insane combos with stratagems, or staying up until 3 AM with random squads to push back the warfront. There's this shared sense of we're all in this together. It's not a single player grind. It's about individual glory. It's all about shared chaos, shared failure, and shared victory. That's a feeling most co-op shooters don't really give you nowadays. Of course, it's not flawless. Some bugs still creep in. Balance isn't perfect, and I feel like performances should be a lot better, at least on PC. A few problems I have on PC is I get a lot of crashes, a lot of just bugs, and just low frame rates. I'm not sure what it is, but sometimes I launch the game, it runs perfectly, 60 to 70 FPS. And other times I launch the game, I'm just stuck in the sub 30 FPS. And it's honestly random. I don't know what the problem is. And I feel like the game should run a lot better. It ran a lot better at launch, but as more updates get pushed out, the game's running worse and worse for me. Not to mention the bloated file size on PC. And the Illuminate faction, I think, needs some polishing, but honestly, the game is so relentlessly fun that none of those issues overshadow it for me. And at the end of the day, Helldivers 2 is something that most modern games don't. Like, at the end of the day, it just makes me smile. Not in the that was cool kind of way, but a way that makes me genuinely belly laugh with friends. A way that doesn't care about battle pass or microtransaction. Here's about giving you a good time. So is Helldivers 2 worth playing in 2025? In my opinion, absolutely. It's not just one of the best co-op games of its generation. I feel like it's one of the purest forms of fun I've had in years. And in today's gaming landscape, that's honestly very rare. Is the game perfect? No. It mainly suffers from performance issues, primarily on PC, but if you can look past that, I think you're willing to have a great time. With that being said, hope you enjoyed my video on Helldivers 2. It's been really fun to make, and if you like this video, please subscribe, mean the world to me. We're so close to 500 subs. If I can hit that before the end of August, it'd mean the world to me. With that being said, see you guys next time. Peace out.